What's going on, everybody? My name is Michael Weir, and today I am ranking the DC Extended Universe, also known as the DCEU. Before we get into ranking the universe, I want to talk about a few things. First of all, let's talk about the DCEU in general. The DCEU was basically created because the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, made so much money, and Warner Brothers was like, wait a minute, we've got a team of superheroes. We've just been using Batman and Superman all these years. Let's use everybody. And so they were like, we're going to do the same thing that Marvel did, but we're going to do it faster. A lot of the DCU, in my opinion, has been misfires or flops, but there's been some golden movies given to us because of this. And I like the competition between DC and Marvel. I mean, Marvel's leaps and bounds ahead. I'm not a Marvel guy. I just think, look, Batman is on my arm. I prefer the DC be at the forefront. I mean, you have superheroes that are basically gods in DC. And it's like if every superhero in Marvel was Thor, that's basically what you have in just about every superhero in DC, and they just misuse them so much. But this isn't a hate on DC list, this is a ranking of DC. So I'm going to hate on some of them because that's not my fault, but also I'm going to love on some of them because they're just so good. And the final thing to say before we jump into the list, guys, is of course my list is going to be different from your list. So don't go into the comment section talking about, I can't believe you put this at number 11 and this at number 1. I mean, listen, my list isn't supposed to match your list. If it did, it would be weird. You'd be copying me, or I'd be copying you. And I have no idea what your list is, which leads me to this. If you have a list of your favorites in the DCEU, we'll put those in the comment section down below and let's talk about them. I'd love to know how you guys rank the DCEU. There's only 11 movies, and I know you've seen all of them, so let's just rank them. All right. With all that out of the way, let's rank the DCEU. Coming up first, guys, is Justice League, the Whedon cut. Yeah, I was going to use posters, but I've got all these on Blu-ray or 4K, and I was like, why not just use these as visual aids? That way I don't have to cover my MikeFlix Cinema awesome light-up thing behind me. Yeah, I love this thing, but it's not a poster. It's like a, I don't know, light. Okay, so Justice League. Justice League came out in 2017. The reason why this is at number 11 and it is the worst movie in the DCEU is because, first of all, they redid it and it's way better. We'll get to that later. But also because this movie is the epitome of what happens when a studio wants to do a cash grab. They did not earn building to their gigantic superhero movie, which should have made more money than any movie that ever came out before it. It really should have. They didn't earn this, in my opinion. If you look at Marvel, and it's hard not to compare, but if you look at Marvel, they built the MCU. They earned that first Avengers release, and oh my God, was it earned. This movie, they slapped a couple movies together, and they were like, now we're doing Justice League. Yeah, you remember we announced all these characters in Batman vs. Superman. Remember that mess of a movie? Well, now you're getting this mess of a movie. And then you've got everything with the directors. I think it was really wrong what DC did to Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder needed to step away because of the death of his daughter. But DC was like, no, we want that sweet money payday, so just bring in Joss Whedon. He'll add some jokes, and this thing will be awesome. It did not turn out that way. This movie was a disappointment, and this movie, again, was just, at the end of the day, a cash grab at number 11. At number 10, guys, we get Aquaman. Aquaman is, if it wasn't for that version of Justice League, would be my least favorite in the DCU. I just feel like there's too much plot in it. Like, there's too much going on. And I don't feel like they have any clear direction throughout the movie. Like, Aquaman is fighting his brother. He's looking for a trident. He's fighting Black Manta. And he's got like 9 other side quests as well. Then you've got the storyline with Mera. There's just so much going on in this movie that it just becomes too much while you're watching it. Like, you're like, okay, he's got the storyline with his mother. That's another one I haven't mentioned yet. There's just so much going on, and they try to tie it all together at the end, but at the end it just kind of seems like they forced it to make sense. Like, you know, and with all that said, the visuals in this movie are decent, but the movie itself is just not fun to watch. It's like they had all of these ideas, and they were like, we might only get one shot, boys. Put them all in. Now, I am looking forward to Aquaman 2, especially now that they've removed Amber Heard. But yeah, for me, this movie comes in at number 10 because it's just too much. Next up, guys, we have Birds of Prey. Birds of Prey, I put it above Aquaman because Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn kills it every single time. But it's at number 9 because I don't feel like anything else in this movie is worth rewatching. Margot Robbie's performance aside, the rest of this movie is meh at best. You've got, first of all, a villain that should be used in the next Batman movie. I really hope they bring him in. But Black Mask is in this movie, played by Ewan McGregor, and just the way they treated his character, and at the end of the movie, they just blow him up. Like, we'll just get another villain in the next movie. This is Black Mask. And I really want Black Mask in the next Batman movie, especially since like this Batman's so grounded and you've got like, I don't know, you've got these gang wars going on. It'd be perfect time to bring in Black Mask. But let's get back to Birds of Prey. Birds of Prey, again, it just, Margot Robbie's performance is good in this. Everyone else is meh at best. And then you don't bring in Joker for a Harley Quinn movie? She said, we broke up. What? The fans don't want that. The fans don't want that at all. So Birds of Prey, number 9. Yeah. At number 8, guys, the first attempt at a Suicide Squad movie. And yeah, I got the extended cut with more Joker. And guess what? It's still not enough Joker. This movie irritates me because all of this potential that's right here could have been awesome. And we saw that potential realized in the new Suicide Squad movie, which we'll get to later. But this movie, they underused Jared Leto's Joker. Like, he would have been a perfect main villain. But they brought in that side quest of the brother and sister because they wanted a villain that the Suicide Squad could shoot at and kill and no one would feel bad. And then their little army of monsters, like the Suicide Squad, they're villains. So if they go kill a bunch of humans, I'm not going to feel bad about that. And I'm going to like the characters still because I know that they're villains. And that's something the new movie did very well. We'll get to that later. But this movie, they were like, no, they can't kill humans. Let's create a zombie army of monsters that they can kill so that the fans will like watching them kill people, but the fans won't have a problem with the fact that they killed people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they tried to just make them more Guardians of the Galaxy than they tried to make them the Suicide Squad. It just doesn't work for me. And again, the lack of use of Jared Leto, even in the extended cut, is not enough. It irritates me to my core that you had the ability to put out the Suicide Squad, where the Suicide Squad could have gone after Joker and his minions, and they just fumbled it. At number 6, guys, Wonder Woman 1984. Wonder Woman 1984 was a movie that was pushed back because of the pandemic, and I was happy this movie finally released around Christmas time that year because it was something to go see in the theater. And I think they also dropped it on HBO Max same day. Or did it just go to HBO Max same day? Now I don't remember where I've seen this movie. It's very forgettable. And that's my problem with this movie and why it's ranked where it's at, because this movie is just forgettable. I mean, you finally bring in Wonder Woman's arch nemesis and Cheetah, and you cast the worst possible person to play that character who's just bumbling the whole time. Like, Cheetah's a badass. But you bring in Kristen Wiig as Cheetah, and it doesn't work for me. And then you've got Pedro Pascal, who is just killing it in Star Wars. And the way they used him in this movie was good, but his storyline didn't make any sense. Like, by the end of this movie, you had people wishing to create walls and wishing to send off nuclear bombs. Did people just take that back? When the wish went away, did all that just disappear? It doesn't make any sense. And then Cheetah still kept her powers at the end of the movie, or did she die? I don't even remember. Again, forgettable, and there's a reason it's that place on the list. Now that I'm thinking about it, I might like Suicide Squad more than that. Nah, I'm going to leave it that ranking. At number 6, guys, we have Wonder Woman, the original. Now, I'll be honest, from here on out, I enjoy these movies and I've rewatched these movies. I think this was a great first outing for a superhero character. If you look at all the MCU and all the DCEU and you look at first outings for superhero characters, I think this is one of the better ones. You know, you have Wonder Woman going against Ares, the god of war. What a fantastic idea. Like I said earlier in this video, the DCEU are basically gods going up against villains. So when you put them against, like, just people, it doesn't make a ton of sense. Sometimes. It would have made sense in Suicide Squad, again, because those people aren't superpowered. But the superheroes are superpowered in the DCEU. And so to have her go up against the God of War, it just made sense. I also loved Chris Pine in this movie. I loved that he was sort of helping her get through our everyday life because she had never experienced what normal people experience, and then they fall in love. And I love what they do with this character. I think they butchered that in the other movie, something I didn't talk about in Wonder Woman 1984. I think they butchered what they had in the first movie, but in the first movie, I think they did it very well. It's rewatchable, and that scene where she's going through no man's land and she's knocking those bullets away, it's just cool. Or the scene where she just destroys that clock tower with a sniper, also really cool. At number 5, guys, Batman versus Superman, The Dawn of Justice. This is another movie that I think should have been split into 2 parts, but again, DC just had to push everything out that they could. But Batman Dawn of Justice, if it had been split in 2 parts, I think it would have been a lot better. As you notice, I have the Ultimate Edition, which is the director's cut. There's a lot more in this version of it, and it makes a lot more sense. I feel like if I watch the Ultimate Cut, if I have the time to watch the Ultimate Cut, then this whole movie, it flows a lot better. There are aspects of this movie I love. Ben Affleck as Batman is fantastic. He's an old, grizzled Batman. I think he does a really good job. Henry Cavill reprises his role as Superman, and oh my God, do I love Henry Cavill as Superman. We'll get to that later. And then you have Gal Gadot showing up as Wonder Woman for the first time. Again, I think they packed too much into this, but it's still a really fun movie to watch, and I like Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. I almost forgot who he played because it's so unlike the normal Lex Luthor, but I do like his character of Lex Luthor in this movie. I like the portrayal of it. I also like that they use Zod's body from Man of Steel to carry on into Doomsday. I know it was different, but it was just cool. Like, I like that they did that, so I didn't have a problem with that. I just think there's too much in this movie, but it's still a fun watch and a movie that I've enjoyed several times since it came out. Number 4, guys, is a movie I think toes the line of superhero movie and family movie experience, and that is Shazam. Shazam is a fun movie that I've enjoyed multiple times with my son. He loves this movie. I got him a little Shazam shirt. He loves Shazam. I can't wait for Thunder of the Gods, I think it's called, coming out later this year. I can't wait for that. Shazam 1 was done so well. Mark Strong as the villain was fantastic. I think Mark Strong's a great actor anyway, but I think he worked perfectly in this movie. You got Black Adam coming out later this year, which also, you know, he's wearing the same lightning bolt as Shazam. So there's going to be more Shazam, and I thought this was done really well. I love that ending where the family comes together and they all become Shazam superheroes together. Like, that was cool. However, I understand that, like, the gripe from people about how they learn their powers right away. The thing was, normally that would be a gripe for me too, but I was having so much fun with this movie when all those kids turned into their own superhero versions of themselves that I didn't have a problem with it. And at the end of the day, I just enjoyed this movie, and it puts a smile on my face every time I watch it. Number 3, guys, Zack Snyder's Justice League. That's right, for years, fans clamored to release the Snyder Cut, and they gave us the Snyder Cut. They spent millions putting millions into the Snyder Cut, and now it just leaves me wanting even more. I love this version of the Justice League. You know, the previous one was so glossy, so slapped together, such a cash grab. It left such a bad taste in my mouth, but when I watch Zack Snyder's Justice League, I'm like, that's the vision they were going with. The only gripe I have is I could swear that opening montage with Everybody Knows in Justice League was done by Zack Snyder, and that it wasn't in this cut. That was a Joss Whedon thing, and I was shocked. I was like, I can't believe that wasn't Zack Snyder. But I love everything else about this movie. I think that this movie is just one of those movies that if I have 4 hours, which is a hard thing to have, I can watch it in its entirety and not be bored the entire time. So for me, Justice League at number 3 is just a perfect spot for it, and I have a fun time watching this movie. And yeah, if we can ever get a Zack Snyder's Justice League 2, I'm here for it. Next up, guys, we have one of the greatest superhero movies ever made, and that is Man of Steel. Man of Steel is a work of art. It really is. I love everything about this movie from start to finish. I love the time on Krypton before with Russell Crowe. I love after Krypton explodes, and then you get Superman's story and his time with his dad, Kevin Costner. I think there's such a perfect balance between Kevin Costner's dad and Russell Crowe's dad, both to Henry Cavill's Superman. I think that is so just incredible casting, and I think well-written characters. You've got Henry Cavill playing the best on-screen Superman that we have ever gotten in this movie, and he's so damn good at it. Then you've got General Zod, Michael Shannon's General Zod, which if you told me that Michael Shannon was going to be Zod in a superhero movie, I'd be like, that's not going to be good. But oh my God, does he kill it in this movie as General Zod. And I love that mayhem and destruction that they bring to Metropolis, just leveling it to make it happen. And of course, those events lead into Batman versus Superman, which I thought was genius. And of course, only Zack Snyder could have executed. I thought that was a great transition. But overall, this movie kicked off the DCU, and it wasn't even trying to. Like, when this movie came out, they didn't have plans to go ahead with the DCU and turn it into this multi-movie. Like, DC was just doing like Batman, and and don't get me wrong, at the time Marvel had put out several movies, and this didn't come out the same year as Avengers, did it? It might have, maybe a year after. So Marvel was doing its thing, but DC was focused on a Superman movie, and I think this is the last time, outside of the Batman that we got this year, that DC was like, no, this is just a one-off individual movie, and it showed how great they can be. And honestly, after this, and then after the Batman that came out this year, I'm kind of wondering, like, should DC just be doing one-offs with their characters instead of trying to build these multiple universes, because this is just done so well. But I had to put it at number 2 because my number 1 pick is The Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad, directed by James Gunn, has a fantastic lineup. You've got Idris Elba, you got John Cena, you have multiple characters returning to their role just to get killed in the first scene. I love that. They were like, they brought those characters in, they killed all of them, and they were like, and that is how you get rid of the old Suicide Squad movie. We don't want to hear about it anymore. And then they moved forward with these new characters. Even Rick Flag in this movie went from like a 10 in the first movie to 100. And that scene he has with John Cena's character Peacemaker at the end of the movie sets up the show Peacemaker so damn good. And of all the shows we've gotten in the last 2 years from Disney and from HBO Max and just everything we've gotten in the last 2 years, all this content that's been coming our way, all this superhero content, Peacemaker is the absolute best piece of week-to-week content that we have gotten, in my opinion. It's funny, the action is ridiculously good, but it was all kicked off from Suicide Squad. And that scene where Peacemaker and Idris Elba's character, who I can't think of his name right now, you got the two of them in the jungle taking out all of those what they think are bad guys. The payoff to that scene, the scene is cool. The payoff to that scene where they find out that they actually killed the good guys, I laughed so much during that scene and throughout this movie that when I was ranking these, I was like, no, this movie, The Suicide Squad, is the best thing that the DCEU has put out. And that's my ranking of the DCEU. Did your ranking come close to mine, guys? Put your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like and the share button so your friends can see it. And finally, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, make sure you do this, because if you guys like these rank videos, I think I'll start doing a lot more of them. And then, you know, I've got the movie reviews and Blu-ray updates and just so much content coming your way that just subscribe. That way you get the notifications every time that I release something. And yeah, if you watch it, it makes me happy on the inside. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. After credit scene, because, well, you guys have come to expect them and I like doing them. So we ranked the DCEU, but what do you want to see next? What's the next thing we should rank? Also, does anybody else agree that The Watchmen should 100% be infused into the DCEU somehow? Like, I don't know, maybe in Flashpoint, the little button was found. How cool would that be? Watchmen is one of the greatest movies of all time. I love this movie. I really do. For all its flaws, it works for me. But yeah, I'd like to see that happen. So sound off in the comment section. What do you want to see ranked? And also, do you agree, or how do you feel about Watchmen?